Sawadee Krap, I'm Scott and I'm an American in Bangkok. This is the second edition of Ask the American, and today I'm going to go over an email that actually it was a YouTube message that came to me, and I really think it would be better if I kept this person's name and location. They're in Europe, but that's about all I'm going to say. I really think it's better if I keep it anonymous, and you'll know why once I get into his questions and my answers. Dear Scott, hi, enjoying your videos. Your tone is pretty nice and relaxed. Keep it up. Can't wait to go back to Thailand. It's good to hear that you managed to make it work with a Thai woman. I kind of developed feelings for a working girl. Do you have any advice how to figure out if it's worth trying to make it work? I stayed in Thailand for 2.5 months and was with 5 girls before I met the last one. Most of them for more than 3 times, and I had a good time with each of them. Also, it was pretty clear from the start that they were working, and I kept my cool, no problem. They just couldn't make any meaningful conversation. Here is where the other one is different. She is 22, and she's been living abroad for a couple of years. She speaks good English and is pretty smart. She was open about her being in the business, and I really have no problem with that. She didn't ask me for money at any point when she was with me, but I did give her something because it means a lot to her and nothing to me. She declined money 2 times out of, say, 8. Also, she is the only one of the girls I was seeing outside of the usual routine of going home after a night out. We would go out to eat somewhere, and she always offered to pay, and also always paid for her expenses in stores and stuff. She also has a normal job working 8 hours a day. I am not sending her money. She knew I wouldn't and never asked. I'm also fine with her going with customers right now. We are not in a relationship or anything like that. I just like spending time with her. All of this info I mentioned was 100% verified, and she never lied about anything. Now you have a better understanding. I may be naive, but I'm not especially stupid. I try to be careful. Do you think it's possible, or was I just being played? I ask you this because I am for sure going back to Thailand, but this time for 6 months, and it is important for me to plan if I am going to live with someone or alone because of the apartment considerations. Okay. Thank you for watching, first of all. Now, I'm really sorry, but I need to talk some sense to you. And it's my nature to be direct, so that's how I'm going to be. When you said the words working girl, that right there is the same as saying, look at me, dump me, I sell my ass for money, don't start a relationship with me. Would you start a relationship? Would you get involved, seriously involved with a prostitute back home? The chances are very slim you would, and even more slim that it would actually work. Now, you've been to Thailand, obviously, and you've spent time here. You would know that there's a rule. Most people learn this rule very quickly. It took me quite some time to learn it because there weren't any blogs, there weren't any websites, there weren't people like me or anybody else on YouTube telling people, hey, you got to be careful. Well, now this is a different generation than, say, 17 years ago when I first came over. That golden rule is this: do not get emotionally involved with a working girl. Listen to my words again. Don't get emotionally involved with a working girl. You're asking for trouble. So, you know, and I'll give you a few things. First of all, what are you going to do? You're going to go home to your family and all your friends, and you go, oh yeah, by the way, Lek, you know, she used to work at Nana Plaza as a go-go dancer, and, you know, hey, this was her job. She was a go-go dancer. Oh, did you go with customers? Yeah, of course. I sold my ass. Next thing you know, behind your back, this girl, you know, you think she's so sweet and everything. Some guy goes, hey, listen, you're pretty hot, honey. The guy's got money. He goes, I'll give you $1,000. You want to hop in bed with me? Or, hey, I'll give you $100 if you blow me. I mean, I don't know, you know, to me it's like I don't want that. I didn't want that with my wife. I didn't want that with a girlfriend. And you know, usually it takes a guy, and it took me some time too, but it usually takes a guy at least once or twice before they learn that, you know, the chances of it working with a working girl are just very slim. Whether it's because they've got emotional problems, because they've got you know, trust issues, or whatever it is, because they're uneducated. Most educated women don't go and work in Nana Plaza or Soy Cowboy or Pat Pong or something like that. Out of 100 relationships, you're lucky if one works. Okay. What I would suggest is get involved with an educated, well-spoken Thai girl. You know, if you're not living in Thailand, it's going to be even more difficult with a working girl, because distance is always difficult. But then you throw in the equation of she's from a different culture, and then you add in the fact that she's willing to sell herself for money, and it makes a serious relationship where you're committed to one another and you're not cheating on each other. It makes that possibility very, very difficult. If you're okay with her running around, then fine, whatever, you know, but for me that wouldn't work. You know, the other thing is that most bar girls, when they stay at home, they sleep, and they sleep a lot. They'll sleep until 4 in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They may clean for you, and they may do your clothes for you, and they'll have sex with you. And you know, if that's all you want, then great. But if you want somebody who is going to have a career, who is going to do something with her life, I would suggest looking elsewhere. Let's see here. One other thing is that if you don't speak the language, how are you going to really know about Thai culture, and how are you going to be able to communicate with her? I'll never forget, I met a guy. I was coming from Cambodia on a bus or something, and I met this guy. We sat down and we were eating. He said, "Oh yeah, I just came to Thailand, and I'm so lucky. I just met this girl. She was working as a cook on the border, and her sister saw me and started talking to me, and I told her how good the food was. And the next thing you know, she told her sister, hey, this guy, you know, here's a guy right here. He's a nice guy. Maybe you'd like to hook up with him." So I gave the girl my address and my phone number, and the girl showed up on my doorstep, and wouldn't you know it, she was such a wonderful girl that now we live together and we're getting married. And I said, "What are you thinking, man? You don't even know this girl. You can't even speak Thai. How do you talk to her?" "Oh, well, yeah, it is difficult, and I don't really like it when she's talking to the Thai taxi driver, and I don't know what she's saying, and she doesn't talk to me, she's talking to him." It amazes me that I mean, you know, listen, nobody wants somebody who's going to be jabbering all the time, but, well, maybe some people do, but I don't. I don't want a woman who's yapping all the time and who talks too much. But on the other hand, I also want somebody that I can communicate with when I want to talk to them. So you need to be able to speak Thai. And whether you live here or not, I think that's very important. If you live here, you know, it's a different, your relationship is different than if you're living abroad and, you know, you're living back home and she's living in Thailand. It's a different type of relationship. So that's something that is pretty important as well. And I always say this, you know, women are difficult enough to get along with in a relationship. I mean, you're living with a woman, whether she's your wife or his girlfriend, generally it's not always easy. There are times when, you know, you don't understand each other or whatever, or you've got differences and you've got to get past those. Now you add in that culture, the Thai culture, and then a European culture or a Western culture, that makes it even more difficult. But then you add in to the equation that she's a working girl, and that just complicates things to the point where it makes it almost impossible to overcome. You know, I think you should think it through think with the big head, not the little head. And don't try not to think about this fantasy of, oh, my girl, she's from Thailand, she's so sexy, her brown skin is so beautiful, and she's so exotic, or whatever. Stop thinking about that. Start thinking about what, I mean, you know, I hate to say it, you know, I'm a man and I didn't always go by these rules, but you know, think with your brain. What does she bring to the table? I mean, personally, I always found it difficult and hard to understand why I have to pay to get married to somebody when I'm supposedly the breadwinner in the family, especially here in Asia and in Thailand. I'm the breadwinner, and yet I've got to pay the money to get this girl, you know, to marry this particular girl. Now, in my case, it was a little bit different, but in most cases, the families expect you to pay for them. So that's the other thing. What, you know, how soon is it going to be when she says to you, hey, we got to go meet my family? Then you go, you meet the family, and then they start talking about marriage. I just think that, you know, getting involved with this particular girl, I don't know her or anything, but I just think it's a mistake. Now, the thing is that ultimately, obviously, this is your decision. What I will say to you is this. This is the advice I will give you. Remember that you are the only person who can open up your billfold, your wallet, and take out the money and give it to her. You are the only person who can wire transfer money to her. And you are the only person who is supposed to have your ATM card. So don't give her the PIN number to your ATM card. Don't get a joint account with her with all your money in it or anything like that, because you never know. There's a chance you're gonna get burned, okay? The thing is with working girls are for sex. That's what they're for. And that's why, actually, Thai men, they know that if they just meet a Thai girl and they just start getting involved with them, it might take them months or years even. Some guys, they know their girlfriends or their wives, they've known them for years. And it took them a while before they ever got intimate with them, before they ever had sex with them, and before they got close to them. So in the meantime, that's why the Thai men use the massage parlors and use the brothels. And I've seen far too many foreigners get involved with bar girls, and it ends badly. And this is not to say anything bad about the bar girls. Listen, they got a job to do. They're there to provide a service for you. They're there to make you feel like $1 million and to pleasure you physically, mentally, and however else they can. And in return, they expect to be paid for their time. So if you remember that and you keep it on a business relationship, you can be polite, you can have fun, you can make them your friend, you can do whatever you want, but draw the line at becoming emotionally involved and feeling the need to take care of them. Don't be Captain Save-A-Whore. You know, everybody's got problems, and your job is not to solve all their problems. Okay, that's it for now. Until next time, Chok Di La Juk Mai, that's good luck, and see you later. I'm Scott, and I'm an American in Bangkok.